Hi guys. It's about 10:37. I haven't ate yet. I'm not even hungry right now. The last time I ate was about 8:30. That was the last time I ate, somewhere around there. But no, I'm not hungry. So, I'm going to get straight into the book. I'm wearing overalls. They're shorts. They're short-alls, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, they're overalls. Anyway, I think overalls kind of looks dorky on me, but what the heck. It don't matter. Let's go straight into the book. Why diets don't work and why you are not a failure. Before we begin learning the new approach, I want you to know why diets do not work. This will help explain why you have not been successful and give you more hope that you are not a failure and that you can do this program. Diets do not work because they are basically just making the food behave. When we have taken out the sugar and replaced it with an artificial sugar, thrown out the fat and replaced it with an artificial fat, thrown out the calories, replaced them with non-caloric fluff or indigestible hay, we have made the food behave or change. We have not changed our own behavior. We do not have to change how much food we chew and swallow because the food itself has changed to larger volumes of low-calorie content. One serving piece of food that used to contain 115 calories now contains only 70 calories. Since the same volume of food now contains fewer calories, you can eat a larger volume. Never mind that it is tasteless and unpalatable. You do not have to take fewer bites of food to lose weight. You can even take more bites on a diet. However, you eventually go back to the regular foods. This is inevitable because you get sick and tired of diet food and your body craves regular food. As a result, you gain weight back quickly because you were reprogrammed to chew even more food while on the diet. She has been very clingy and voicey lately. I don't know if she's wanting to play more or what. Pills, liquid fast, appetite suppressants, and counting fat grams change your environment temporarily, but they do not change you. They are like taking aspirin for a fever. Yes, the fever goes down temporarily, but as soon as the aspirin wears off, the fever goes back up. Why? It is because the aspirin does not get to the root of the problem, the bacterial infection. What you need is an antibiotic. We believe the Ray-Down Workshop approach is the antibiotic, or what is needed to get to the root of the real problem. The real problem can be partially defined as a desire to put more food down the esophagus than the body wants, or, put another way, wanting to chew more food than the body can handle, making the food behave by changing its content. Low fat, low calorie will not help you change this desire to chew more food. In fact, dieting is the perfect environment to cultivate a deeper love for food. Using the Ray-Down Workshop approach, we will not ask the food to behave. Instead, we will teach you how to behave. More importantly, we will teach you how God can take away the desire to overeat. Let's see where the next good break is. I like even pages, honestly. That way it's easier to know where I'm at. Okay, so we will stop right there. That's a good spot to stop. I have found a video testimony that I'm going to have you watch, and then I will leave the link in a pinned comment in the comment section below. That way you can watch it again if you would desire to. So let me show you this testimony. This is through the Ray-Down Workshop channel on YouTube.
When I turned around 11 years old, that's when I began to run to food for comfort, and I would eat enormous amounts of food. By the time I was 13, I was well over 200 pounds. And then by the time I reached high school, I was in the 300s. At 21, I hit a major depression. By the time I was in my mid-20s, I stepped on a scale and was well over 445 pounds. At that point, I stopped weighing. Looking back on pictures of when I got my biggest, I was probably very close to topping out at 500 pounds. I couldn't even fit in women's clothes. I had to go to casual male, big and tall. And I remember my hips measuring out at 73 inches and me being horrified. The doctors had told me if I didn't lose weight that I probably wouldn't make it to be 30 years old. It just made me so sad. I did cut myself to try and alleviate some of the pain and the depression. And I just ate and ate and ate and ate to try and fill up this void in my heart. And I just felt like there was no hope.
My story goes way back. I was almost 11 pounds when I was born. I was always the biggest kid in my class, from kindergarten up. Growing up was humiliating. I was not happy. I stayed indoors a lot, watched a lot of TV. Just got bigger and bigger and more sad and more depressed with life. I always grew up thinking that I was going to be big because everyone around me was big in my family. And so I always thought this is the way it was just had to be. But something just didn't feel right about that. The pain and the humiliation of being overweight as a child hurt really bad. Spiritually, physically, and emotionally. When I turned 18, I didn't go to church at all. I didn't want anything to do with it. I had a lot of anger. I absolutely hated everyone. I didn't want to come into contact with strangers. I barely wanted to be around my friends. I was diagnosed as manic depressive and went monthly to a psychiatrist. And they tried to fine-tune and tried to get me to talk about what was wrong. And it was always I just talked about nothing, and it made no sense to me. And every month they would give me another prescription. My weight probably topped out at 550 pounds. I couldn't really weigh myself on any scale. I tried going to college, but I dropped out. Every day I was constantly getting high. I was doing illegal drugs. I was avoiding people. I would come in late at night to avoid my parents. There were a couple of times in life where I did have a gun in my mouth, and I was ready to end it all. I had no answers. I hated life. Marrying Maggie didn't do what I thought it was going to do. I thought it was going to bring me out of the gutter, out of my depression, but it honestly didn't. We were both miserable and headed towards a divorce.
We both worked on diets together to try and lose weight, but we were going nowhere. We were just getting heavier. Any diet that came out, I was willing to try it and spend whatever money it took to do it. Nothing ever worked for us, and then I found Way Down.
And immediately I saw Maggie change. She came home happy. She came home talking about God. She came home with a spring in her step. And I knew that something that she was being taught was something that I wanted, and something I had been looking for a long time. So I decided to just put this into practice. I decided to make the choice to do what was being said. And through that, weight started to pour off. And I started to trust. I started to love again. I started to develop a relationship with God and see that He could fill me up and not food, that nothing could fill me up. And I built this loving, trusting relationship with God that makes me want to go to Him even more every day. After taking a Way Down class, I'd lost 257 pounds in 18 months. I felt like a new person.
Through Way Down, God has removed 300 pounds of greed for food off my body. Once I found Way Down and God, started to take the weight off my body, He started to give me joy that I never knew that I could have. He gave me a relationship with Him that I could cry out to Him. I could pray to Him at any time during the day to help me with anything, that He really cared about every little detail of my life, not just the food, everything. And so with that, I just became a happier person. I was even told that I would never have children. And through losing all that weight through the Way Down workshop, we have 2 beautiful children that we've been blessed with.
I'm so thankful for a new life, a truly new life through what I've learned in Way Down.
Maggie and Andy, any doubt in your mind that if you come back and visit us in 3 years, you'll still be the skinny selves you are today?
Good question.
No doubt in my mind. I know that I never have to fear gaining this weight back. I just hit a baby and I gained 66 pounds and it's gone. And I have no fear of ever gaining that weight.
Andy, you think you'll be skinny also?
Oh, definitely, because it changed my whole aspect. It changed my lifestyle. You know, it's not something that you don't change the food. It's not, you get to finally enjoy good food, whereas every other diet we're on is reduced fat this, and you know that reduced the flavor too. So.
Gwen, Maggie, Andy, well, congratulations to you. First of all, so I read in the notes that you actually had a weight problem 20 years ago. That's hard to believe.
20 years, kept it all. Change focus, turn to God, it's the answer.
You can make the transfer. You can master this. If you've been good at worshiping the food, you can be great at worshiping God. The difference is get ready for happiness and joy to start filling your days. Get ready for the blessings.
I gotta say, I gotta sing, I am a happy human being. Let me say I am glad I found you. And every time I think I've failed, my ship has sailed. You got me nailed, and it's good to be, so good to be. Good to be, yes, good to be with you.
So there you have it. There's another testimony. 2 people, a couple. And I know some of you may be thinking, well, what about being healthy? What about the health results? I'm going to keep giving you testimonies of people, but I did read you the one testimony of the man that had juvenile diabetes, and that through the way down, his insulin injections was brought down so that he doesn't have to take so much insulin shots. So, you know, that right there is a testimony that eating the way that God created your body to eat, when He created it to eat, is the true answer. I have said a lot. I'm not pushing this on anybody. But I do hope that any of you who may be blinded by man-made diets and man-made rules of how you really have to lose weight, the only way that you can lose weight, what I'm hoping is that you finally see the real truth, and that you go on ahead and turn your eating over to God and let God help you in eating the right way, which is basically only eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're satisfied, not binging, not overeating. But not only that you only eat when you're hungry and stop when you're satisfied, but that you're completely turning your life around and you're giving Him your whole self, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and you're letting Him transform you into a better person, not just a more slender person, but a better person all the way around. Better attitude, better insight on life, you know, just completely giving it over to Him. That's what the way down is all about. It's not just losing weight, but it's about turning your life completely around to Christ and letting God take place of everything else. I do know that the more you draw to Him, the closer He'll draw to you. And that right there takes care of everything else in your life, whatever situation it may be, whatever you might be dealing with. By drawing closer to Him, He's drawing closer to you. And He will take care of every situation in your life. And seriously, when you put more focus on God, you lose focus on food. You seriously do. You lose focus on food. I'm going to show you something. I have told you that there's lots of food here in this studio, right here against this wall, for Big Mouth, that I'm more than likely I'm never going to be doing it again. I'm going to show you what is lying here against this wall, and it's been here now for 2 months. Over 2 months, actually. Well, let me show you this. Look here. I've still got the MRE right here that me and my husband's going to be doing sometime. Recently, my husband got these for me, which is a health food snack. Me and him both may try these together as well. And there's a third one here. Originally, I was going to do this for Big Mouth, but that was before I knew for sure if I wasn't going to be doing her. Here's some bottle caps, you know. They've been there now for around 3 months. Here's a box of some Japanese snacks that I have been just slowly going through. It was a full box, and I've had this box for about a month and a half, and there's still that much left in it. Here's this whole pack of cakes, rice and corn cakes. I haven't even opened it. A whole box of jelly cookies, boysenberry, not even open. It was for another Big Mouth review. I have got these munch boxes, 2 of them, and I have slowly been going through them. I've had these for 2 months. I canceled Munchbox because there's no need for me to have them. Look here what's in there. Jelly roll, sweet cookies, Cheetos. I'm not eating it. Look here. I'm not eating that. If I ever decide to, I will. But in the meantime, I'm not. It's according to if I'm in the mood. Look here. A whole pack of Mexican Jell-O cups. Not even open. There's some kids downstairs I'd like to give a couple of these to. Here's these that came into the mail a month ago. Haven't even opened them yet. Once again, another Big Mouth review. And some Mexican jelly-filled cookies and whatnot. All these. Not even opened. And I've had them for quite some time now. I don't have any desire to binge eat. None. I have no desire to binge eat. This stuff here is crafts to replace Big Mouth. Now I'm doing crafts on Thursdays. But see, this is how wonderful God is. Because when I'd started doing the Kicking It series, and I was still doing Big Mouth on Thursday, and I would find myself eating the rest of the food that I'd reviewed. And I was feeling bad about that. And it was driving me to the point of wanting more. And so I would sneak and get more of Big Mouth's food. And it wasn't even time for me to review it, and then it wouldn't be there for me to review. And so God knew that I was feeling bad about eating that. And shortly after I had considered of whether or not to even continue doing Big Mouth. I mean, this is so funny. It's odd. So like I had voiced it on video on my Kicking It blog, and Melanie Hines sent me a review package of health foods, and by that time Big Mouth had been took off of the Snapchat. And so I had to choose a different filter to do the review on. So in a lot of ways, even before Melanie had blessed me with the health food to test, God had already answered my prayer by having Big Mouth removed. And I have checked it a couple times to see if Big Mouth is back on, and she still isn't. So here I've got all this stuff over here that I just showed you. And I'm slowly eating it, but I'm not binging on it. I'm only eating it if I want some. I've not even been driven to come in here and look. I've not even been driven to come in here and look. And I guarantee you there's still stuff there that I normally would eat. Stuff that I normally would eat. There's another bag in there I didn't even show you that's got seafood type in it. Cans of oysters and clams and some kind of fish. Anyway, that was going to be another Big Mouth review for me to try different canned seafood. So I've got that even. But I don't have any desire to come in here and pick through and find myself something. I don't. So, you know, that's the great thing about the lay down. When you truly give yourself over to God, when you truly, truly do, and you let Him take place of food, then you don't have a desire to binge eat. You don't have a desire to glutton. You don't have a desire to overeat. If you're eating a meal, you don't have a desire to eat beyond being full. You don't have that desire anymore because you've replaced it with God. It becomes to the point that food is just so-so, and you're only eating it because you need the fuel. That's what it becomes. I'd always been a junk food junkie. Always. At one time I was even a chocoholic. But now, you know, if I eat anything that's like a sugar dessert, I just eat it with my meal, within the hunger zone. That if I'm already full, I'm not going to eat it, you know? And I don't want to. I don't want to. So, and in another month, I'll show you this bowl again with all this stuff. And I'll tell you what I had managed to eat and what I hadn't. To me, it's important for me to prove that this plan works. It's important to me. And the one thing that keeps going through my mind, man supposedly studied the body and what it can process, what it can't process, and what causes fat and weight gain and stuff, and what doesn't. But what keeps going through my mind is, did man create man? Does man know more than God? No, man doesn't. God created man, and God knows more about man than man. So, you know, God didn't leave the mysteries of eating for man to discover over 5,000 years later. God didn't leave it like that. God was feeding man since He created Adam and Eve. God has been feeding man since. So, you know, whatever plan you want to be on, whatever food you want to restrict, whatever type of food you want to eat. If you want to eat diet low-calorie food, you want to eat sweet stuff that's got artificial sweeteners, if you want to completely omit any kind of sweets, if you want to completely omit carbs, completely omit fat, completely omit sodium, whatever, you know. It is your choice. It really is your choice. God gave that choice to you. He gave you that choice. Not because man says you can't, but because he gave you the free will of whether or not you want to. God gave you the free will to choose whether or not you want to eat different, certain types of food. It's not what man says. Man isn't God. Man isn't boss. It's your free will to choose. Eat what you want. Eat what you don't want, or rather, omit what you don't want. Choice is yours. It's your free will. Your God-given right. Not man-made rule. Now. Diet. That's all I gotta say about it. And as I always say, if you're losing weight and you're healthy, keep doing what you're doing. If you're capable of doing it for the rest of your life to maintain, keep doing what you're doing. But if you're so tired of having to type in what you're eating or weigh how much you're serving, or seeing somebody eat something that you used to like and you have to look away, you might want to try the Ray Down. You might want to give it a shot, because God doesn't give you any limits of what to eat. God doesn't. He doesn't give you any limit whatsoever. Not in the types of food you eat. The only limit he gives you is how much you eat and when. And that's in the hunger zone and nowhere in between. So, you know, if you're happy with where you're at and you know that you can do it for a lifetime, I'm happy for you. I'm glad that you're succeeding. I'm glad that you've got that kind of discipline and that you don't care one bit to no longer want anything, or just outright choose not to have anything because you think that's the only way that you can lose weight. I'm never going to tell you not to. But if you're ever tired, Ray Down is right there. As I said, you can subscribe to the Ray Down on YouTube. You can subscribe to Gren Shamlin on YouTube. You can subscribe to Gren Shamlin on YouTube. And you can subscribe to Remnant Fellowship TV on YouTube. All three of them. And all three of them talks about how the Ray Down works and how to turn to God, how to trust God, and how to permanently lose weight. Because I'm serious. You permanently lose weight. And it's not hard to do. It's not hard to do. The thing is, when you only eat when you're hungry and stop when you're satisfied, and you don't overstuff and you don't binge, you automatically lose weight. And you consistently lose weight. Consistently. Consistently. Until you get to the size that your body was created to be, and then it stops. It doesn't lose any more. It stops. So, I have watched a few videos. They're a little longer videos because they're bits and pieces thrown together into a longer video. It was on the orientation, which is, I think, like a 7-minute, 11-minute type video. I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to how long the orientation was, but there had been people coming on there saying that they had lost like over 100 pounds and that they have kept it up for like 10, 12 years. So the author, Bryn Shamlin, lost an additional, had lost 20-some pounds, and she has kept it off now for 30 plus years. She's been doing this technique since early 1970, and she has kept it off because it becomes a lifestyle, trusting in God and retraining yourself to only eat when you're hungry and stopping when you're satisfied. Waiting patiently for that hunger to hit. Waiting patiently. And in the meantime, while you're waiting for that stomach growl, you can be busy doing anything else that you may have needed. Maybe catch up on deep cleaning your house, or catch up on seeing some old friends, or, you know, catch up on some shopping. Holidays are coming up. Christmas shop, you know. Of course, Christmas isn't every day, but I'm just, you know, while you're waiting for the hunger, you can get into something else while you're waiting for hunger. And then when hunger hits, whatever you've got a taste for, go on ahead and eat it. Because I'm going to tell you something. If there's something that the body is needing at that moment, it's going to tell you it needs it. And you better eat it, because if you don't, you're going to find yourself going back and eating something else because you're not satisfied. You're not satisfied. It wasn't what you was wanting. So you're just going to keep on going on thinking, okay, well, this will do better. This will come closer to what I was really wanting. No. Believe me, I have so been there when I wanted something so bad, and I went back and ate everything else but. The body tells you what it desires, what it needs for that time when it's hungry. Take care of that. And then you won't want to eat when you get satisfied. You won't want to eat when you're full, because you took care of the situation. So, that's all I've got for today. And I love you guys. You guys have a wonderful day. Oh, and before I get off here, I just want to remind you that I am doing the 27-day non-clinical trial on Raydown, where I'm not going to be weighing myself, and I'm not going to be exercising. I didn't weigh myself this morning. I have no idea how much I weigh. My husband asked for me to go on ahead and show how much I drink throughout the day too, how much water. So I'm also going to show you how much water I drink, as well as showing you what I eat with each meal. What I showed you is on the tray with the cranberry sauce. I didn't even eat all of the cranberry sauce. I was full. I didn't drink all of the strawberry soda either. I poured it out. Yesterday morning, when I showed you that I still had about a fourth left in the can of soda, I poured the rest out. I didn't even take another sip. So, and the bag of veggie straws I told you there was half of, the bag is over there on the desk. Half bag. It's still over there. I didn't even open it back up and take another straw out. So, and for me, believe me, that is an improvement. Seriously, that is an improvement, because I was a big time 2-time serving. Okay, this is how I used to eat way back when. I mean, way back when. Not even here, but way back when I was really starting to gain the weight. I would get me a man-sized serving, first plate, man-sized serving. Then I would go back and get me seconds, man-sized serving. And you know, I thought that the habit really started after I married my husband, my first husband, But I had got thinking back. It seriously started back when I lived at home with Mom and Dad. During the summer, my Aunt Rachel, my aunt, she, 8 kids, okay, 8 kids, and so she had to learn how to make peanut butter and jelly really fast instead of slapping peanut butter on one slice of bread and jelly on the other slice. So she would just make a big bowl of the combination and mix it up so that you had your peanut butter and jelly mixed. I discovered I liked the taste of the peanut butter and jelly mixed better than having 2 slices of bread with one on one and the other on the other. So during the summertime when I wasn't in school, because of, I had to have my own lunch, had to make my own lunch, didn't have lunch because I wasn't in school. So I would take and I would mix myself a bowl of peanut butter and jelly, and I would fix myself 4 sandwiches. Mine. I didn't give not one sandwich to my brother. They were my sandwiches. 4 sandwiches and a tall glass of milk. And that would be my lunch almost every day. And I'm standing here about ready to cry. Stupid, right? The only reason why I didn't gain weight is because I was always riding my bike with my brother and my cousins. My aunt and uncle and my cousins lived next door to us. It was that simple, They'd come down and we would ride bike all day. That's why I didn't gain weight. Mom would make a pot of spaghetti. Sometimes I would have 2.5 plates. And I would go to bed with my stomach so full, I was painful. And I would lay there waiting for the discomfort to ease so I could go to sleep. When she would make French fries, she kept the ice cream buckets that she bought sometimes, and she would put the French fries into the ice cream bucket. And it was my job to clean off the table and do the dinner plates. And so here'd be that bucket of the leftover French fries. And I would eat them. I would eat the rest of the fries in that bucket. The only real time that I ate normal was during school days, because I had to hurry up and get out the door for the bus. I only had time for a bowl of cereal. And then, of course, whatever the school served. Mom's rule was that anything that she fixed, me and my brother, even if we didn't like it, had to eat at least a spoonful, and we had to eat everything on our plate. And so the foods that I enjoyed, I indulged. The foods I didn't like, I quickly ate to get it over with. And it still would take me over an hour to eat it. Stuffed green peppers, liver and onions, Brussels sprouts, homemade chili with dangling tomatoes on the spoon. It would take me over an hour to eat that kind of stuff. But I never really gained it because I was always riding my bike. And I'd even hewn out a small walking path in the garden. So if I didn't ride my bike, I walked. Mom had a Richard Simmons Dancing to the Oldies. Or, something to the Oldies. Can't remember it now. Anyway, where you got the exercise to the Oldies. And sometimes me and Mom would exercise with Richard Simmons. Not all the time, sometimes. So Yeah, the bad habits really started when I lived at home with Mom and Dad. And I seriously thought they had started after I married my husband. After I had my birth control pill changed. Because that's when I started gaining the weight. Seriously. But the fact of the matter is, if there was something that I wanted, my husband would go get it. When I lived with Mom and Dad, I became a babysitter. There was one woman who would have me babysit quite often. And the money that I earned, I would get me a half-pound bag of M&Ms. No, I wouldn't eat the M&Ms all in one day, but they would be gone about 3 or 4 days. I didn't share them. They were all mine. So yeah, the habit started pretty young. But I still stayed between 142 and 143. And it's just because I rode my bike. Yeah. So I was a professional binge eater. A professional junk food junkie. Really didn't eat that much potato chips ever. Seriously, it was more about sweets, ice cream, cookies, candy. It's more like that. So honestly, for God to completely change my attitude about food, I have to completely give it to Him. And He truly does make a difference. He removes it. He does. He removes it, y'all. You might think that you have this overwhelming addiction that you have no choice but to do diets that restrict certain foods because you believe that through man's research that these certain foods are trigger foods and addiction foods and weight gaining foods and all that. So you seriously think that in order to keep yourself from ever indulging on these no-no foods, again, you have to do the diets that restricts these no-no foods. But I'm telling you today, because I just gave you my own testimony of how I used to eat. And I ate like that even during my first marriage. 2 servings of whatever. 2 servings of whatever. Large servings. And I had to feed 3 kids. So that's my own testimony right there. By me completely giving it all over to God. I'm an ex-foodie. I am an ex-food addict. I'm an ex-junk food addict. Because of Him. Because of my precious Father God. Because I gave it all over to Him. And you all can be too. I'm going to tell you right now. Don't choose to believe the lies that Satan tells you that you could never stop eating foods that's supposedly forbidden. That you could never stop eating them. That as long as you would allow yourself to eat them, that you would never be able to quit eating them because you love it too much and you would binge. Stop believing that lie. I'm telling you right now, you give it all over to God. You turn it over to God and trust Him. Seriously trust Him. Completely put your faith in Him. Tell Him that you want to replace food with Him. That you want to put Him in place of eating. And that you want to live your life completely for Him. Give it over to Him. And I promise you, It may not happen overnight, but within time, you'll find yourself no longer desiring those foods that you think is a no-no. Those foods that you think you have to completely cut out because you can't control yourself if you don't. I promise you. I'm one of them he's done. I'm one of them, y'all. I'm one of them. And the best thing of all is, as long as I keep trusting him and I eat food within my hunger zone, when I'm hungry and I stop when I'm satisfied and I don't eat beyond that, I don't eat beyond being full and I don't binge, I can eat sweets with my meal. I could even put myself a small handful of chips with my meal if I chose. If I chose. I choose not to because I don't want no chips. I don't want any chips. Before I said that I prefer not to have them into the house because I know that they go against me and that I would turn around and just keep eating them. Well, now guess what? It isn't just me trying to keep chips out of the house so that I don't binge on them. It's just I don't want them. I don't have a taste for them. I don't want them. And that is God. It's not me. I don't have that kind of willpower, y'all. I don't have that kind of willpower. The Lay Down isn't about willpower. With man-made diets, you have to have the willpower to keep doing what the rule says you have to do. But doing the Lay Down, turning it over to God, you don't have to use willpower. You just use God's power. And God's power is your strength to no longer binge, to no longer indulge, to no longer overeat when you're beyond full and satisfaction. It's God's power, not willpower. That came out of my spirit, man, y'all. You can receive it or not. It's up to you. It came out of my spirit, man. So that's all I've got for today. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day.